why would you say it's critical to retain the family home post-separation?
Okay, so I think it certainly can provide you with a strategic advantage and a more comfortable setup while you're proceeding through your separation legal resolution. It can mean that you're in the place that you find most comfortable, that's familiar to you, that's the most familiar to the kids, where you're potentially not having to pay as much in rent, where your mortgage repayments where either you might not have a mortgage or your mortgage repayments are lower. And where the other party might be pretty anxious to resolve your family law property division so that they can get you out of the house because they're not so happy about it. So if you can, it can be a really good thing to sort of stay in the house and not leave. But we very often see situations where neither party will leave the house. And then it comes down to, well, are you entitled to lock the other party out? That might be the case if you're on title and you can somehow establish that they should leave. If there's violence, then certainly that might be a case if there's an AVO. But sometimes it can be very difficult to exclude the other party where there's not agreement or a court order. And so when looking at court orders, you can apply for an exclusive occupancy order to have exclusive occupation of the house pending resolution of your family law matter. It's a really, really high bar to get one of those orders, so that's really tough. So where it's more difficult than it's perhaps worthwhile to stay in the house, you really may consider leaving. And then looking at, setting yourself up, the rent that you have and the property expenses that you have to pay when you move out and the whole setup might be the basis for a spousal maintenance claim or a partial property division. So you can potentially get help that way. And then it may be much more tolerable to proceed through your family law matter than if you're trying to share the family home with the other party. So it's not critical in that it doesn't change your legal entitlement to the property at the end of the day. If you're entitled to the property under the Family Law Act or a share of it, then that's going to be there whether or not you stay there. But it's about that strategic advantage in staying there and the advantages that it can give you so that you're just better placed in the legal dispute. But then you really have to be very careful to make sure that you're not jeopardizing your safety or your sanity because you're just insisting on staying there and the other party won't leave. And it can get to the point where the stress is just unbelievable. So even when you think, oh, okay, we can live in separate parts of the house, it usually isn't workable.
Separation under the same roof, and if there's children involved as well, it obviously can cause unnecessary conflict, even if there might not be active verbal exchanges. Children can sense that acrimony. So
but if the other party will willingly leave,
then
absolutely, go for that. If not,
there are options.
You really need to think about it, and get advice.
Yes.